Women are becoming addicted to rejecting guys more and more now than they've ever been before. Now, let's talk about why that is, and let's talk about some solutions to this in 2022 because we're almost there. A few days left in 2021. So, first and foremost, obviously, social media, obviously, the dating apps, they have access to more attention than any other woman in human history. And that is not downplaying, that is not like an exaggeration. And we know this to be true. Now, obviously, what happens on the dating apps, let's say the girl is a 7 out of 10 and she has access to some of these guys that are maybe 8s and 9s, the Chads, the Tyrones, the Chad Lights, the whole gamut. Now, what her assumption oftentimes is wrong. She thinks that she can kind of get with these guys, which, yes, on a slow, windy Tuesday, in Peoria, Illinois, maybe a Chad or whatever goes over and hangs out with this girl that's a 7 out of 10. And then she thinks that, well, she can get with that guy, or she can be in potentially a relationship. But a lot of times she's very, very far removed from actually getting anywhere. And sometimes these girls' egos, they just get inflated just by simply matching with the guy. And oftentimes their pictures are a fabrication of what they actually look like. Obviously, guys have to live in reality. And a lot of times these girls sort of live in a metaverse of filters, makeup, so on and so forth, and old pictures. And there are the catfish kind of guys as well. Certainly there are, but obviously, like, women are the most egregious kind of offenders of this situation, because for most part, you're looking at my face. This is my face, guys. I don't have a filter on. I don't have makeup on. This is my face. We live in reality. So women oftentimes, they start to kind of believe their own lie that they look like that with the makeup and with the filters on. And then, ultimately they're able to connect with these kind of higher value guys. Now, when they run into a guy of their level, they essentially end up rejecting him, thinking that, he's way below her. She's way better than that. And we've even seen these women who are potentially even 50, 100 pounds overweight that literally think they're a 10 out of 10 because they're assigning, these arbitrary values based on their job or their career. Maybe the fact that they have a house, that they have a car, kind of general stuff. And they think that actually sort of raises their SMV. Which to some extent, a lot of that stuff is ancillary, and that's not kind of the primary, obviously, selector for men. Men are looking for youth, fertility, beauty. That's going to be the main, obviously, attractor. So anything, even if has a mansion or she has access to, wakeboard boats, all this kind of stuff, that might be an ancillary kind of icing on the cake kind of thing. But if she's not attractive, then at the end of the day, that's not going to be of interest. It doesn't make sense, for a guy to just be kind of hanging around. Now, what are some other reasons for this? Now, have you ever been playing pickup basketball, or maybe you're playing like some kind of pickup soccer or something, and everything got super aggressive, everybody's throwing elbows, people are hacking, and then you feel like you have to start hacking too to kind of counteract that, and so it's a retaliation. So a lot of these women use this as a coping mechanism. Statistically, it's been proven that if these women get rejected, let's say they get rejected by a Chad type character who is an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, then she's more likely to sort of pass that on and sort of reject somebody else in retaliation. So these average kind of guys, or maybe guys who are on her level, and even sometimes another Chad, a Chad type character that might be an 8 out of 10, he might even get rejected by this chick who's a 6 out of 10 in retaliation because she's been hurt because this other Chad type character, basically just, hung out with her, didn't commit, and then pieced out, ghosted her, whatever he did. Now, I don't recommend ghosting girls and, kind of obviously creating this thing of, well, I'm going to ghost them before they ghost me. And that is, therein lies like another issue, is that women are trying to sort of beat you to the punch, so to speak. And obviously guys are doing this too. So the whole dating environment has gotten very toxic. And I think that a lot of older guys who maybe aren't in the dating scene, and maybe they've been married for 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it may be. They actually don't realize like how bad the situation has gotten. Now, what are the solutions to this? Because I don't want to provide you guys with a bunch of complaints, a bunch of issues, and not, provide a solution. You have to work extreme volume. You have to cast an extremely large net in the end of 2021 and then into 2022. And it's unfortunate. Like, you're literally going to have to cast a net that would potentially capture, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of girls. Now, how do you do this? And I don't recommend using the dating apps for more than 20% of your game. 20% of your game. You need to be cold approaching. You need to be, joining potential groups like meetup.com. You could join hiking groups if you're in a larger city, especially out west. If you're in like Arizona, if you're in California, you might be able to join a hiking group. If, let's say you're athletic and, those are the type of girls you want, fit athletic girls. These are the type of girls I go for. Then you could maybe get on meetup.com and join a group that's like pickup volleyball, or at the YMCAs or community centers. A lot of times there is just kind of pickup volleyball, or the potential to join like a volleyball league or something like that. This is a good way to sort of come in contact and access and talk to, girls who are fit, athletic, active, these kind of things. Now the dating apps, obviously you can cast a large net, and essentially, it is potentially a good way to, obviously, cast that net, but then you have to look for the pitfalls and stuff like that. We're going to talk about that in another video. But there are a very, very high percentage of women who are damaged, and these are kind of some things that you need to look out for. So if you kind of target what you're looking for, kind of, cut to it, and end up setting up dates and stuff like that, that it can, be one potential method. Also, cold approaching at beaches, pool parties, these kind of things, also, can lead to that as well. Now, a lot of people, and usually of the older generation, they'll just jump in there and say, oh, you meet good girls at church. You don't. you don't. And I'm going to tell you why. For one, the younger generation has really kind of abandoned kind of the church construct for the most part. And for the most part, they've essentially went away from that, and maybe they only kind of come back to it when they want to be quote unquote saved. They're a single mom with 2 baby daddies, they're 32 years old, they're 50 pounds overweight, and then they want sort of this church type guy to come in and kind of rescue them and stuff like that. So that isn't a target for guys who are, whether they're in their 20s or 30s, who are in shape, athletic, have some stuff going for them. That's not really what we're targeting. And, ultimately, guys, if let's say you don't feel like you've optimized various things, your fitness, your looks, your finances, all that kind of stuff, obviously all those things can help, when kind of like coming in communication with people. But when I talk about rejections, I'm more talking about just on a surface level, just from looks, and, maybe you've even had it where you don't necessarily feel like that the girl is obviously above and beyond what you would have access to, and the way they act is very awkward. They act, like that you're almost some kind of golem type, creature or something like that, and they act very, very weird and put off by you even approaching them. So what I've noticed is, especially with these girls that are 21, 22, 23, 24, in that generation, a lot of these girls never actually had a healthy, normal relationship when they were in high school. And then now that they're kind of nearing the end of their college career, or even maybe a year or two removed from college, they're very awkward, and they've never had a normal relationship. They don't know how to interact with people. They're very, very strange. And I call this the Snapchat generation. They don't know how to communicate with people. So again, you're going to have to cast a very large net, because you're going to run into that type of girl, and you're going to have to get past it with like sheer volume. Also, areas where you live in, it could potentially hamper your situation. if you're in smaller areas, smaller metros and stuff like that, it further inflates the ego of the girls who are in that kind of upper tier, say your 8s and 9s and stuff like that. You go anywhere in the Midwest, and a girl who's 22, 23, that's a legitimate 8, her ego is inflated beyond any kind of, any kind of recognition. I mean, it's just, and I've seen these girls, and sometimes you see them, and I've, various times seen them on the apps for like continued amount of time. Then you say, well, is the scenario the same for guys? Like, you say, oh, okay, Brian, well, why haven't you gotten in a relationship or something like that? A wise man once said, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? So, and that would be the case with kind of the girls who would be considered sort of dating down or something for a guy like me. When you talk about that upper threshold, that upper tier girl, oftentimes, again, their ego is inflated and they feel like they have unlimited options and unlimited time. Now, in the future, they find out that that's not necessarily the case, and they don't have a DeLorean with a flux capacitor in it. They can't go back in time, and this inlays kind of the issue of these girls getting in their epiphany phase and getting into their upper 20s and 30s, and then kind of, going out there, getting married to a guy, essentially using him as a sperm donor, being married to him for 2 or 3 years, divorcing him, trying to collect alimony, child support, this and that. It ends up being a very, very, very dangerous trap for a lot of men. And a lot of us have seen that happen. And so obviously we're tentative. We're very cautious for, obvious reasons. So with women, they do have legitimately tons of options, and who can blame them in some respects? They are able to talk to extremely attractive guys and seemingly have access to them for a certain period of time, and able to cast a very large net, especially if they're in a big city. I actually went out with a girl that she actually showed me she had 20,000 matches on Tinder. And I guess she was in some kind of a program that was, some kind of ambassador program where she had basically the premium for Tinder. And she was bouncing between kind of Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and Louisville. And essentially she ended up with 20,000 matches. So, and that's not the guys. Obviously there's additional guys maybe slipping into her DMs and stuff on Instagram. And so then there's guys going to cold approach and this and that. So, what are we going to say? We're talking tens of thousands of guys, and we're not even talking a girl that was of celebrity status or in that upper tier, this kind of resting 9 kind of girl. That she was not in that upper tier. So, you kind of see what you're up against. It's a kitten with 1,000 yarn ball scenario. So my recommendation, you got to work extreme volume. You have to sort of, obviously make wise use of your time. A lot of these girls are time wasters, and you are going to get a lot of rejections, and you have to have a thick skin. Again, a guy like me, I do get rejected a lot. Girls won't exchange Instagram, information. They won't, give me their phone number. And even if with the best rebuttals, and all that kind of stuff, you're only going to get so far, and then you just have to move on. So casting a large net, then hopefully if you optimize your looks, your fitness, and all that kind of stuff, hopefully all those things subconsciously kind of obviously give you that upper hand so that you have some level of success. Anyway, guys, that is the video. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. That really helped me out. I need to get more subscribers and really kind of put this channel on the map. I got some good information for you guys. It's going to help you guys out through 2022. Anyway, guys, see you later.